At our son's elegant engagement party, his fiancée, Celeste, took the microphone for a toast. She smiled sweetly and said, "We're so grateful you all came, especially Tom's parents, who drove in from their charming little town." Her laugh tinkled like ice. "They've promised not to decorate our future home with their adorable crafts." The room chuckled politely. My husband, a master woodworker, and I, a restorer of rare books, exchanged a quiet glance. Our wedding gift to them was to be a handcrafted library. We canceled the order that night. Her real education was about to begin. Hello. Welcome to Hurt Stories. There is a quiet dignity to knowing who you are. It's an internal compass, calibrated not by applause or social standing, but by the substance of your days, by the work of your hands and the content of your character. My husband, Silas, and I, we've built that kind of dignity over 35 years of marriage. It's a sturdy, unshakable thing. We live in a small, unassuming town in the Berkshires. In a cedar-shingled house we rebuilt ourselves over a decade, nestled in woods that turn to fire every autumn. Our wealth isn't in a bank. It's in the silence of the forest, in the grain of the aged cherrywood Silas coaxes into breathtaking furniture, in the fragile, gold-leafed pages of the 15th century manuscripts I am entrusted to mend. We are not poor. We are custodians of a different kind of currency. Our son Thomas is our greatest pride. He's a brilliant corporate lawyer in Manhattan, sharp as a pin, with a heart we worked hard to keep soft beneath the ambition. When he brought Celeste home for the first time, we saw the city on her. She was a vision of polished ambition, impeccably dressed, ruthlessly intelligent, with a laugh that seemed calculated for optimal social resonance. She was a luxury brand strategist. Her world was one of perception, of curated image, of value assigned by label and legacy. She looked at our home, at Silas's workshop brimming with tools and half-formed wonders, at my conservatory with its angled lights and surgical tools, with a kind of benign anthropological curiosity. She saw quaint. She saw rustic. She did not see art. She did not see mastery. We were polite, welcoming. We asked about her work, her family. Her parents, she mentioned, were in finance and philanthropy in Greenwich. She spoke of summer homes, boarding schools, a debutante ball. Her world was a series of closed, gilded rooms. Ours was an open workshop. The disconnect was palpable, but we believed in Thomas. We believed his heart would guide him. We held our tongues, swallowed the subtle barbs about the fresh country air and the authentic simple life. We smiled through the thinly veiled pity. The engagement party was her parents' production. It was held in a soaring penthouse apartment with views that sliced across Central Park. The men wore watches that cost more than our car. The women were sculptures in silk and sharp angles. Silas and I felt like two sturdy, mossy stones that had rolled into a diamond exhibit. We wore our best, a tailored suit Silas had owned for 20 years, a simple but beautiful emerald green dress I'd bought for a conference years ago. We were comfortable in our skin, if not in the room. Celeste, radiant in a column of ivory silk, floated to the center of the room. A champagne flute held aloft. The room hushed. She spoke of love, of futures, of merging families. Then her eyes landed on us, standing quietly by the terrace doors. "And we are so blessed to have Tom's wonderful parents here," she began, her voice a melodic public address. "Maeve and Silas, who made the long trek in from their, what's the name of that charming little town again?" She paused, not for an answer, but for effect. A titter ran through the crowd. "They've been so supportive. And they've promised," she continued, with a conspiratorial giggle. "They've promised not to fill our beautiful new apartment with any of their adorable little craft projects." She laughed. A light, tinkling bell-like laugh. The room laughed with her. It was a wave of polite, condescending amusement that crashed over us. I felt Silas go very still beside me. Not tense, but still. Like a great tree in a sudden calm. He didn't look angry. He looked deeply, profoundly disappointed. But we love you for it, Celeste added, as if bestowing absolution. It's so endearing. To the future. Glasses clinked. Thomas, standing beside her, had a fixed, strained smile on his face. He didn't look at us. In that moment, I saw our son not as a man, but as a boy caught between two worlds, choosing in his silence to let the polished one humiliate the humble one. We stayed for the requisite hour. We were perfectly courteous. We congratulated her parents, who accepted our good wishes with the distracted air of royalty acknowledging stable hands. We hugged Thomas tightly, wordlessly. In the elevator down, the silence between Silas and me was thick, but not with hurt. It was with a shared, unspoken understanding. The compass needle had just swung true north. In the car, driving back through the late-night tunnel out of the city, Silas finally spoke. Adorable little craft projects. I reached over and placed my hand on his, which was gripping the steering wheel. I could feel the calluses, the strength built over a lifetime of creating beauty from raw timber. She doesn't know what she's looking at, I said softly. No, he agreed. But she will. Our revenge, though that's too petty a word for it, was not an act of malice. It was an act of revelation. It was the withdrawal of a gift she was too blind to see the value of. The gift was to have been a library, not just bookshelves. A library. For their new, sleek, empty apartment overlooking the park. Silas had designed it for over a year. It was to be his magnum opus. A floating helix of black walnut and ash, with integrated lighting that would make each shelf glow like a relic in a museum, secret compartments, a sliding ladder on a brass rail. It was a piece of functional sculpture, a testament to a lifetime of skill. My part was to be the inaugural collection. A curated set of first editions, rare volumes on art and philosophy, some of which I had personally restored. It was to be a wedding gift that held our essence. His craft, my curation, our shared soul. We had already put down a substantial deposit on the special order woods. My contacts in the rare book world were on alert. That night, back in our quiet house, Silas went to his drafting table. I went to my ledger. Without a word, we began the process of uncreating. He sent a brief, polite email to his lumber supplier, canceling the order, forfeiting the deposit without a second thought. I sent similarly worded notes to my book dealers. The library, in all its intended glory, vanished from the future. It would not exist for them. Instead, we decided to give them exactly what she had so publicly mocked. A craft project. We discussed it over morning coffee, the sun painting the kitchen in gentle stripes. A bread bowl, Silas said, a faint smile touching his lips. Every up-and-coming power couple needs a hand-turned cherry bread bowl. With a matching rolling pin, I added, and a set of potholders I'll quilt from old fabric scraps. It was a joke, but it was also the truth. We would give them the quaint, the simple, the adorable. We would give them the caricature they believed us to be. But that was only phase 1. Phase 2 was the quiet, deliberate living of our truth. We stopped trying to explain our world to them. When they visited, infrequently, always on Celeste's tense schedule, we no longer offered tours of the workshop or the conservatory. We served simple meals on our everyday pottery. We spoke of the weather, the garden, the dog. We became the simple country folk she believed us to be. We saw the relief in her eyes. She had categorized us, filed us away. The problem was solved. Meanwhile, we immersed ourselves deeper into our real lives. Silas entered a piece, a chair that looked like a folded lily, carved from a single piece of English oak, into an incredibly prestigious, invitation-only exhibition of studio furniture at a world-renowned museum. It wasn't a contest, it was a placement among masters. He told no one, especially not Thomas or Celeste. I was commissioned by a major European university to lead the restoration of a collection of fire-damaged Renaissance musical manuscripts. A 2-year project that was the pinnacle of my career. We went about our days, our hands and minds full of meaningful, profound work. The turning point came 8 months later. Celeste, in her endless quest for unique status symbols for their new apartment, wanted a statement piece for the vast, blank wall in their living room. Something important. Investment grade. Her interior designer, a famously ruthless and well-connected woman named Astrid, suggested a contemporary sculptor whose work sold for telephone numbers. But Astrid, as a courtesy, or perhaps a fishing expedition, asked Celeste if she had any connections in the art world, anything that might give her an edge in acquiring a piece. Celeste, wanting to impress, scrambled. She mentioned my work with old books, framing it as a quirky hobby. Intrigued, Astrid asked for my name. When Celeste provided it, Astrid went silent for a long moment. Maeve Collier? The Maeve Collier who is currently head of the Vaticanus project. I suppose. Celeste said, unfamiliar with the name of my most public restoration. My dear, Astrid said. Her voice hushed with a new profound respect. Your mother-in-law is a legend in archival conservation. She's a genius. The institutions she's worked with, my God. And you said she lives in the country. Celeste, baffled, could only stammer. Astrid, sensing a much greater prize than a trendy sculptor, asked, and your father-in-law? What does he do? He putters in a woodshop. Makes furniture. His name? Silas. Silas Collier. The line went so quiet Celeste thought the call had dropped. Then Astrid breathed, Silas Collier. The Silas Collier whose lily chair is the talk of the design world? It's in the Modern Design Triennial. It's expected to set a record at auction next month. Celeste, your in-laws, they're not just artists. They're icons. In the most rarefied, respected circles. The circles money alone cannot buy. Celeste called Thomas, her voice shaking. She repeated the conversation. Thomas, who had been willfully blind, did his own research. He found the exhibition catalog with his father's name and chair. He found articles about my work in specialized journals. He saw the estimates for his father's piece, a number that dwarfed his own annual salary. He saw the institutions I'd worked for, the Vatican Library, the Morgan, the Bodleian. The world they had dismissed as crafts and quirky hobbies was in fact a realm of elite, unimpeachable prestige. A prestige built on genius and mastery, not on branding and brokerage fees. They drove up that weekend unannounced. The mask was gone from Celeste's face. It was replaced by a raw, desperate awe. She looked at our home not as a rustic cabin, but as a sanctuary of creation. She looked at Silas's workshop as a holy site. She looked at my conservatory as a laboratory of miracles. Why didn't you tell us? Thomas blurted out, hurt and confused. Silas put down his chisel. He looked at our son, his gaze steady and calm. We tried in our way. You chose not to see. You were presented with an oak and called it firewood. I added softer, value Thomas isn't shouted. It's demonstrated. You have to be quiet enough to hear it. Celeste approached the bread bowl that sat on our kitchen table. The one we had actually given them as a joke, which they'd never used. She ran her fingers over the silken interior, the perfect, seamless curve. This is beautiful, she whispered, truly seeing it for the first time. It's a bread bowl, Silas said evenly. For your adorable little kitchen. The lesson was not lost on her. She flinched as if struck. The humiliation was complete. But it was hers, not ours. She had humiliated herself by confusing price with worth, noise with substance, gloss with depth. She stood in the presence of masters she had mocked, and she understood the poverty of her own perception. They stayed for dinner. This time, the conversation was different. Celeste asked questions, real, humble, eager questions. About Silas's joinery techniques. About the ethics of restoration. She listened. Really listened. The entitled polish was scraped away. revealing something more vulnerable, more human. We did not give them the library. That ship had sailed. That gift was for a son and a daughter-in-law, who would have valued the love in it, not the prestige. Its materials became something else. A donation of rare wood to a school for trades, the book's funds for a literacy charity. But we did begin slowly, painstakingly, to build a new bridge. Not as the simple folk and the sophisticated city dwellers, but as equals in different fields. Celeste had to learn to come to us without condescension, and we had to learn to accept her without the shield of our quiet contempt. The true worth she learned wasn't our net worth. Though the financial revelation was a shock she needed, the true worth was the lesson. That worth is inherent. It is in the integrity of a dovetail joint, in the patience of a repaired vellum leaf, in the quiet love of parents who would rather cancel a masterpiece than see it unappreciated. It cannot be bestowed by a social circle or a bank statement. It can only be built, day by careful day, with your own two hands. She called us poor in spirit, in worldliness. And in doing so, she exposed her own profound poverty. Our revenge was to live so brightly in our own truth that she was forced to see. And in seeing, to be humbled. We didn't have to teach her a lesson. We simply had to be who we are, fully and unapologetically. And that, my dears, was a price far above her understanding. Our true worth was the one thing her money could never buy, and her scorn could never diminish. And in the end, that was the only victory that ever mattered. Thanks for listening. If you want to hear more story like this, please like the video and subscribe the channel. Hit the bell icon to get notified.